21 minutes after 4 o'clock. This is Frank Morano on AM 970. The Answer. Not even 2 days after just an unspeakable tragedy in France. Many of us are interested to learn how things are like there now, what things were like there on Friday evening. And I'm very, very pleased to be joined live from Paris by Angelyne Duhaime. Angelyne, thank you for coming on the radio with me this morning.
Hi, thank you. No problem.
So let's start with Friday evening. Where were you when all this occurred?
Well, actually, I had dropped my stuff at home after school, and then after I went back to my friend's house because her parents weren't in town at the moment, and she didn't want to be alone that night. So we decided to have a sleepover then. And right before we were settling down to go to sleep, we heard about the first attack. And we were kind of just so shocked by the whole thing, and we ended up talking about it for a while before we somehow dozed back to sleep. And the next thing we knew, we were being woken up by calls from friends and family members just filling us in on this situation. And it was just only an hour later, but by that time there were so many more people that were dead, and we were just so surprised that it was getting worse.
And now you mentioned school. You're a college student, or
I'm a high school student. I'm a senior in high school.
And I know you're from America initially, right? You were born here.
Yes, I was born in America. Yes.
And I imagine your friend's around the same age, right? She's a high school student.
Yeah, she is. Yes.
And so, how did you guys first hear that an attack like this has occurred?
Well, like I said, we first. I got a text from one of my other friends, and so we first read about the first attack. And then after an hour later, we started getting calls from so many family members explaining everything that had happened and how we couldn't go to school the next morning, and how the amount of people that had died and been injured had just grown so much after so many horrible simultaneous attacks. So
were you, both where you live and where you were staying with your friend that night, were you anywhere near any of these attacks? Just give us an idea of the distance, if you can.
Well, of course it's still in the same city. Mm-hmm. We were about a district over, so, I mean, we couldn't hear anything that was going on from where we were positioned. So there was a distance, but it's in our city, so it's not far.
So it was not like you felt that this was imminent. It wasn't around the block or something. It was not.
No, okay. No. Luckily, no.
Well, no.
Not for us,
thank goodness. So now we learned that they had declared in France a state of emergency and put in all sorts of other high alert restrictions. What does that actually mean for someone living there? How does your daily life change after they put in all these restrictions? What can you not do now that you were able to do a little while ago?
Well, for one, right now they're banning people from resembling, they don't want many manifestations because then it brings up, the danger. And also there's a lot more police circulating, military circulating, but that's just to protect us in the end. So it is actually really reassuring. And for us kids at school, any class trips or any outings that we have planned are canceled. So we can't. If we go to school, we cannot go on any class trips.
But they are going to open schools, and you're going to be able to go to school.
Yes, they're going to open schools. Yes.
Now, living in Paris, we spoke with you on the Joe Piscopo show right after the Charlie Hebdo attacks. From then until now, on a regular basis, I know, living here in New York after September 11th, you kind of feel like this could happen anytime. I mean, on a day-to-day basis between those attacks and this one, what are you feeling? Are you regularly concerned on a daily basis about terrorism being a real possibility?
I don't necessarily think that we try to live in fear. I remember after the Charlie Hebdo attack, Paris was in a bit of a state of panic because it was the first time in a very long time that we had been attacked. But now I think that instead of feeling that panic, people are just feeling such a heavy sadness. And I mean, you look at the streets, and there's just a few people walking on the streets. Everything's so quiet and everything's so somber. And I mean, we're just so sad because it's happened again, and it's happened to so many people this time. So many of our friends, our family members. I mean, I know friends that have been affected because their family members have been injured or things like that. And we're just so sad for, everyone we've lost and for everyone that's been affected. But we're also so sad because we're afraid this is going to instigate more hatred towards innocent populations, some of the very peaceful Muslim population and the migrants that are just trying to get away from this kind of terror where they're from. And it's such a sad situation. This time, we're not afraid for ourselves necessarily. I don't believe from the people I've talked to. I don't hear fear coming from them, but I just hear just a very, very strong sadness in everyone.
Well, and obviously that's very understandable, especially given the level of just awful tragedy that this is here. So it was so interesting that you said that you talked to people that are concerned that this could be turned around to blame innocent people or make them a scapegoat. If to the extent that you've talked with friends, just anecdotally, or people that you've run into in the street, what kind of response would they like to see on the part of the government or French authorities or anybody? What are they hoping happens going forward?
That's so difficult. I mean, of course we want everything to be solved, but what are the steps that we take to getting towards that? I think, of course, we definitely want to attack, ample up security and get to these people that really want to cause, such a large population so much injury. But it's difficult to respond to. I think as a whole, we're very glad to have so much support, and we're hoping that there will be solutions in the future to prevent so many things from accumulating, from so much hatred, from so much hurt happening to our population and populations all over the world.
Well, and if people are just tuning in, we're talking with Angelyne, who was kind enough to spend a few minutes with us, joining us live from Paris. Angelyne, I know you mentioned that field trips are going to be canceled for school. Are there any other additional security restrictions that you've been told to expect and aside from the ban on large scale gatherings? Are there any other security restrictions that you've been told to expect either at school or as part of your daily living?
At the moment, I haven't heard of any, no. I just know that it is much more difficult to travel in and out of France at the moment. Security at airports and at train stations has gone up very much. So, but other than that, I don't think so.
And, one of the things, in watching all the American coverage of this that I've been a little, disappointed by is that all the networks here, so much of what they seem to be focused on has to do with, just speculation rather than actually dealing with facts. And I think what that's led to, unfortunately, is a lot of misinformation, among members of the American public. And I'm wondering, has there anything that you've heard, about the attacks or anything about the situation in France right now that's inaccurate that you would want to clear up for an American audience? Is there anything you could set us straight on?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what you have been hearing over there, but I just do know that there were 3 attacks pretty much simultaneously, one in the stadium, one out in the streets to some cafes, and one at the Bataclan, the concert hall. Right now, the death toll is at 129, and the number of injured is 352, I believe.
Wow.
And other than that, I mean, there was some speculation I heard just in Paris that there were other attacks, but so far we haven't heard any of that. Right now, the only one person that we heard about, the only one terrorist we heard about was actually a Frenchman. We haven't heard about any of the other terrorists. There were 7 terrorists. All of them had died in the attack. But that's all that I've heard for now. So I don't know if that clears up anything.
No, certainly. It's great to hear. It's great to hear exactly what we know now. How do you guys? And I'll let you go after this. And I appreciate you being so generous with your time. But how do you guys? How do you guys living there get your information? Is most of the information you're getting from local media as well, or is it as you first heard about the attacks via text messages from friends and stuff like that? How are you being informed about everything?
Well, actually, after every major event, we've paid a little bit more of attention to the news. So we've had the TV on pretty much all day, or I will, read certain news sites like Le Monde or Le Figaro, and check constantly because they have these things called live feeds where they'll just put out any little snippets of information that they get. So I think the whole population has been just paying a little bit more attention to the news to hear what's happening.
Well, Angelyne, I know you have family here. Everybody was very concerned about you. We're really glad that you're okay, and and I appreciate it. And you're certainly in our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you so much. And everyone in France is we're just so grateful to have such an outward expression of support from everyone all over the world. So thank you.
Now, are you dual citizen of France and the United States?
Yeah, I am. My mom's American and my father's French.
Right. So you're very much and you have a foot in both worlds.
Yes, I do.
Wow.
So yeah. So seeing one of my cultures so hurt, it hurts, but
certainly.
Hopefully things will get better. We always have to hope for the future, and hopefully we'll take the right actions now to prevent any more devastation from happening to any peoples of the world.
Well, Angelyne, thank you so much for giving us an update as to how things are there, and best of luck. Please keep us posted.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You too. Oh, great to hear her perspective. Angelyne Seguin-Duhame, living in Paris, very poised for a young person, I must say. All right.